Hey, I'm Miriam, and this is Genesis. And today I wanted to talk about how we are used to thinking about language as both a spoken and a written phenomenon, when in fact language is more of a spoken phenomenon first, and writing is the encryption of that. So, yeah, let's go. Thank you, Genesis. So I was on Reddit, shower thoughts, and someone said, babies are still learning the alphabet, yet understand whole sentences when spoken out loud. And of course, people were quite aggressive or like, duh, obviously, like, you don't say. But if you think about it, that is a normal misconception to have in a modern world where language is often tied to its own written form. Basically, we think of language as both one spoken component, the oral expression thing, and one part that is written. When you learn a language, say you're learning Japanese, you are taught that you have to learn hiragana, katakana, you have to go through the kanjis. This is a part of learning Japanese that you would think of as fundamental. If you were to pass a test in any language to show your proficiency, you would have to know how to read. You would not pass any kind of English test and not have a text to decode at some point or have something to write. And this is how, in our heads, language is both a written and an oral phenomenon. That is something that is, say, speaking and reading and writing, they are two sides of the same coin, a language. A language is its spoken form first. So you have this idea that a language, if you learn a language, you have to learn both the writing system and the spoken system. But a language is first and foremost a spoken, an oral phenomenon. You have other words to design other forms of communication, but language is primarily an oral phenomenon. So what does it mean? Why is language first an oral phenomenon? Because that's how it was invented. This is how it was conceived, and it is its primary function to be something that people exchange with sounds and air. And the written form is just transcribing that. If I sing and I don't know how to read the notes, am I not singing? Am I not really doing music? That when you do la 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 la, that's what you were taught to do, right? You were taught by ear. But let's say you decide to transcribe this. The first la, let's say it's red, and the last one is more of a pinkish shade of red. And it's the same for languages. Singing, basically, and talking were the primary ways of learning. You did not even have silent reading. You had this idea that if you were to learn something, you had to learn it by heart. Religious text or philosophical epics, you would have an advantage. But yeah, writing has some drawbacks. Writing has one drawback, is that you are not that inclined, you're not that stimulated to use your memory. But it has one huge advantage. Read it later. Give it to other people or pass it on to newer generations. So writing has this function of languages to their written form. For example, if you see Chinese characters, you're going to think you're reading Chinese. That might not be the case. That might be another dialect of Chinese. That might be an ancient form of Chinese. Or it could be any other language that has been transcribed using these characters, like Japanese, which is not related to Chinese when it comes to the language, but the writing system has taken some of the ideas, some of the characters, and there is nothing that is essentially Japanese or essentially Chinese about the characters, because they are a transcription system. Sometimes I'm really excited. I see something in Cyrillic and I think I'm going to read Russian, and it's not. It's a transcription of a language I'm not studying, I don't know, and I end up reading something in a Turkic language, and I'm very confused. It's Russian that I can't read. Languages that are written with the Cyrillic alphabet, You have some languages that decided to go from Cyrillic to Arabic system, or vice versa. You had Turkey that used to have a Turkish written in Arabic script, and now that decided to do it in Latin script. And Turkish has no relation to Arabic. Of course, you have loan words and contact, but you don't have a direct. I think the most impressive case for me is Persian and Yiddish, because when I visit the library for exotic languages, non-Latin languages in Paris, I often try to guess the languages. And of course, Persian looks like Arabic. It's the same script. And I can't really tell. And yet, Persian is closer to French than it is to Arabic in terms of the family of language it's in. Of course, the loan words, again, are often from Arabic. You will have a lot of familiarity. You're going to be able to understand from Arabic some words, some expressions. But there is nothing in Persian that is definitely related to Arabic, except the culture and the writing system. If the written language is only one way of transcribing, could we theoretically have any language written in any script? I think so. Yeah, I think so. So if you were to decide to write French with the Hebrew, Arabic abjads, so they are not alphabet, they are different because they don't use vowels. They are very, very heavy on consonant. You could do that, of course. And when they transcribe words that are like American names or English names or French names, they will use this technique. They will just take their own letters and either they create new letters, new signs to say this pronounced differently, like the word jazz. There isn't a j in Hebrew, so they have to write a different letter. It would totally be possible to just write French entirely in the Arabic or Hebrew alphabet. At what cost? Well, you would have probably to write longer words, and that is exactly the case for Yiddish. So Yiddish is a Germanic language that has been written in the Hebrew script. Like at first glance, it looks like Hebrew. You would have a really, really hard time saying that it's not Hebrew. But if you look closely, you would see that the words are long. And if you have seen Hebrew, the words are a bit shorter. So, why is that the case? Well, for example, here you have a literarische Blatt. You have the word in German over there, and you have it in Yiddish with Hebrew script over there. So what you have is that you basically have to write more letters because of the consonant and vowel system that is a bit different in Germanic languages. Vowels are more important. Could we write English with Chinese characters? Yes, we could do that. So let's say you decide that this just means to go. And something that ideographic systems have that is really great is that they're not tied to a pronunciation. But what is really practical is that you can just basically say, this word means to go. And that's what happened, for example, if you see the same kanji and hanji in Chinese and Japanese, they will basically have the same meaning, definitely not be pronounced the same. So Japanese, Chinese have very, very different sound systems. They are not related languages, but when you see a kanji that is similar to a hanzi, you can say that, yes, this is the concept. I can't read. So let's say in English, this is the new word for going. Fantastic. And now you can decide, okay, this is going to be the same ideograph, the same sign for every language in Europe, whether it be Finnish, Swedish, Hungarian, French, Portuguese. Everybody is going to read this and read their own version of the word to go. So for example, you would say, in French, you would say, je vais, and then you would have someone else saying this and saying, ich gehe. what you're saving here is basically the possibility of language change, phonetic change, which is a huge part of problems in European languages. You need reforms because languages are not always pronounced the same. And when it is phonetic, like English, French, you often have to either adapt or accept a part of etymology. And it's more acceptable in ideographs, logographs, and that's the case, I think, for Chinese and Chinese languages in general. So that is the big advantage of having this type of language system, is that writing system, is that it has nothing to do with the language. You just decide by association or anything else that this is to go. And voila, you just decide this is to go and you have to learn it. Yes, you have to learn it by heart. Of course, this is one of the big drawbacks of this language system. Another thing that is really practical with ideographic system is that they don't necessarily need to change to adapt to new pronunciation because, well, they don't contain pronunciation anyway, so it doesn't matter.